guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris Orme. Today we are back playing some Franchise Hockey Manager 2 with our Colorado Avalanche. This save is going very well and we're very happy with it. We are now a two-time champion and we've got to the playoffs 4 times. We've won the President Trophy 3 times, 2 championships. I'm going to go for that 5, 4 and 3. So one more, hopefully, playoff run where we finish the regular season's first overall and pick up that President's Trophy team. Or that President's Trophy, I should say. And get all the way and win the Stanley Cup final to complete that hat-trick there. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. That's our goals in this save. Now, we are ready to go in the regular season, but there won't be much action there in this video, if any. I haven't decided yet, but there's a lot to catch up on. So, we're going to get into that to begin things. So first things first, let's have a look at our transactions. And here we go. So, let's move down then. Let's move down. And you can see here on the 1st of July we did some moves. So we re-signed a bunch of people. I figured that Uli had earned himself a new deal. So I'm very happy to sort of get that out of the way. Gorispia needed a new contract and Jesse Puljajavi gets his first big boy contract. So 4.9 for Jesse over 3 years. Gorispia gets 5 over 4. Kololi, very cheap, not a problem there. Now, at this point, I didn't know who I'm going to get, where I'm going to trade, who I'm going to trade with, or any of that. I just didn't know what I was doing. So, I looked around a few of the comments that I got, a couple of direct messages on Twitter, that people just give me a couple of ideas, a couple of seeds of ideas. Now, I had far too many good youngsters that were gonna make the team too soon, and I didn't want that much, and I didn't really want to trade away some of the huge players that have been superstars for us. So I decided if we load up on draft picks, we get the next generation again, and this little generation that's now coming through, we already kind of know that the players who have played in that first team are pretty much the ones that we want. There's 1 or 2 newcomers to add to that. We'll get to that in a little bit, but ultimately it was time to make a few changes. So when we look at it, these signings here were the start of things. That's what I needed to get done. From there though, we decided to go and trade with Florida. Now, we didn't need Jordan Stahl anymore. He was a lot of money and not in our first team. So we got rid of Jordan Stahl. We got rid of Vol as well, that young goaltender with 4-star potential. And we traded away 3 picks to get their first and second. Now, those picks, I don't believe I needed to put those picks in. It was very, very close with just their first and third, I believe, for Stahl and I can't remember which youngster, but a different youngster. But I had too many goalies, so Vol went in, I upgraded to a second round, and I pushed out the 3 picks that we're not going to use, and just to make sure that went through, because yeah, Stahl was still a good player. He'd actually gone to a 4.5 star, and Vol was a 4-star potential player with a 3-star, I think, ability. So both pretty much ready first team players, and we picked up good picks for them. In free agency, I went after my big target, and we got our big target. Seth Jones came into the club. That allowed us to make some moves on defense, and we'll see that one a little later as well. From Florida, we went over to Anaheim, another team we do like to trade with. We got a first, a second, and a third here. We gave up the rights to Zajic, who is a decent youngster. I think 3.5 to 4 stars there, maybe a bit more. We just drafted him, I believe, but that was not going to be in his future to stay with us. We traded away a fourth, and I'm not sure what else. Maybe the third round picks in there as well. And basically got a first, second, third. There's also a couple more young players in there and free agency players that were going to be leaving the club anyway. So it's not quite just what you see there. There's a bit more on our end. But I think that's tremendous value. Bodka, Desjardins, that's probably your... I mean, that's probably worthy of 2 seconds and a third right there. Zajic was a third round pick for us. So maybe that's 2 and 2 plus a fourth and 2 other players. I think that's why we could upgrade to the first, but I wasn't expecting to get a first, second and third. I was expecting to get a first for this, but apparently we're giving up far too much, our assistant said, so we just kept adding and adding. Now we did pick up Zach Wierenski as a defenseman. He's been waiting in the wings, ready to be signed for a number of years, and we finally got him. He finally accepted a deal, so I'm happy to bring him on board. There was also Kyle Connor, who we decided to bring on board. Very good looking centre at the moment for us, so that was a big reason how good he looked as to why Jordan Stahl went out. At the same time, we decided to pick up some free agencies that didn't look so good. So, Kotkaniemi, he comes in. Levi Oltnen comes in. Hannes Karlsson comes in. Lauri Pojaniemi comes in. And Isaac Lundstrom comes in. Now, I was negotiating with all of them. I didn't expect them all to come in. There's 3 centres there. Plus, we just signed Kyle Connor. I was hoping for one of these 3, maybe 2 at the outside. So after looking at them, I decided that Lundstrom was the odd man out. And I feel kind of bad for doing it. But Ryan O'Reilly, another player on big wages. We didn't need any more. Great servant for us. And yeah, we really needed to make sure that that we capitalised on his value. But also we weren't weakening the team too much. So he goes out with Lundstrom. And Lehtinen as well, another good youngster. Winnipeg pick up a first-line centre or first-line right winger, depending. They pick up a young potential second-line centre, I think, in Lundstrom. And Lehtinen as well could be, you know, he could be a regular player for them. So, really, they're picking up 1 now and 2 for the future. A first and 2 seconds there. I think O'Reilly could have got a first, second, third on his own. So a little bit of a poor trade there in terms of draft picks, but at this point I still felt I was ahead after these 3 trades. Then up comes a big one here where I'm not sure who else is in this trade, but Ole Winter, we just drafted him. He still looks pretty good, but we've got some really, really good defensemen, so that one kind of made sense to me to add him. I think there's even more in this deal. I mean, there's got to be more. Holm is a 5-star potential right winger. We were overloaded there. He is the odd man out. He's not in the team. Winter was a decent draft pick for us, and there's another couple in there as well. So I think there's more draft picks that we needed to upgrade, like our draft picks. Our first, our third is in there, if I'm not mistaken. So we're upgrading our first, second and third maybe. Home gets us a first, Winter gets us a second, and there's another youngster to make that go through, I believe, to Philly. So again, we're racking up these first 3 rounds in the draft. We are really sort of doubling down over the next few years. We're making the team younger, slightly weaker, but you know, we're overloading with potential, and we're not going to miss the first the first team stars when they go. You know, people like O'Reilly, Stahl's been good for us, Bodka's been good for us. You know, those people really couldn't have done a better job over the last few years. So now we're getting great draft picks for them, and we're pushing up the youngsters that we've drafted and we've managed to grab for ourselves in free agency. Next up, Buffalo. They needed a right-sided defenseman, and we sent over Tyson Barrie with a 3rd round pick. So that's a decent deal there. We got decent value for Barrie. I think I could have got more elsewhere. But again, we're ahead of the game. No need to be too greedy. Some of these deals went really in our favour. Some went slightly in other teams' favour, from my opinion. But overall, we are still well ahead, I would say. Then Adam Larsson and Kniemi, who wasn't happy that that he was going to get sent down. So I looked at this deal, and he's the odd man out. He's like 6th or 7th line centre with so much potential. But even when Duchesne goes out, even if we dropped Adam Lowry, which we'd end up doing in the next trade we will look at, Kniemi doesn't make the team, and I know he's not going to be happy with that. So him and Larson packaged up. He's got great potential. We just don't need it. We got too many stars in the making, and I wasn't ready to give up Matt Duchesne at this stage. So 1st and 2nd, there's decent value for those. Probably slightly in our favour there. Larson's probably another 3rd round pick like Barrie. Kotkaniemi's probably a 1st. So a 1st and 2nd, when I should have maybe got a 1st and 3rd's okay. Hannes Carlson, Rasmus Fransson both get sent down to San Antonio. Lundqvist goes down with them. That's another sort of good set of youngsters. Bit missing on the wings, but the wings are so young anyway that unless we get injury sort of problems, we should be okay. And even then, we got centres that can play on the wing and wingers that can play on the opposite wing. So we should be okay to cover. The last big trade then, you can see we stacked up some more of our 1st, 2nds and everything, just trying to trade away our picks for other people's picks. So a 1st, 2nd and another 2nd with Lowry and Uli, who was going to be our cover for the wings for the year. So 2 4th liners, 2 2nd rounds and a 1st round for their 1st and 2nd. So at the moment we're upgrading slightly our picks. These players probably sort of upgrade, well, I'd say Lowry upgrades on his own. So Uli and a 2nd essentially gets us Joe Veleno. And this is something I wanted to do. As good as Lowry had been, I wanted a different centre in the club. And we'll take a look at these young players and see why we targeted them. So we'll have a look at who we've got coming up and through. But Veleno joins the club. He's pretty good. And what we really want to do is deals like this where we give up a little bit more, but we get the player that we want. The last thing we did, though, was bring in a backup goalie who's not going to be playing for us. He's going to be our backup, and it's just to give the youngsters some time, because now we know that now we know that, depth shots. Mandolese is not our goalie of the future. If we can sign Marakulin, he is. So sending Mandolese down is not an issue for me, because that might become trade bait if we can sign here. So Hauser actually becomes a decent option on the bench. He's a better player now. He's not going to want 1st team time. He's not going to be worrying if he can't play. So I think that's a good deal. Very cheap contract. Secures us for 2 years. That gives us the time to go out and sign Marakulin, and then he goes on the bench instead of Hauser or Hauser. However you want to say that, it is American. I think it is Hauser. So we got an American goalie pairing at the moment. Both on very, very, very cheap deals. I'm outstandingly happy with those. So I think we got good cover there. That first 5 players is where all the age is in this team pretty much. So left side defense needs a little bit of reworking over time. The goalie position needs a little bit of youth over time. Right defenseman, Ekblad, Jones and Truba are superstars, and Varensky there, decent sort of backup this season in defence. Altonen backs up on the wings. Not really a great sort of a great player right now. Neither is Svensson, who's doing the same job on the right, but they've both got tons of potential. Then we got the youngsters Comtois and Zadina on the left. We've got youngsters Pujaniemi and Owen Tippett, who still hasn't kind of kicked in the full gear yet, on the right. We got the experience of Landeskog and Saad on the left. We got experience with Gergensons, and Puljajarvi has turned into a proper first line right winger. So we've got a good player there. In the centre, Duchesne and McKinnon are your experienced leaders. Valeno and Connor are your youngsters with potential. So I'm happy with that. Let's take a look at some of these new guys then. Here is Hauser. I felt very good by what I see here. You know, I figured this is a good backup and great mentally. Not so much of a leader. No real weaknesses here in the goalie category either. So if he's got to play 10, 15, 20 games a season, we're not going to be struggling so much. And I'm happy with that. So good cheap deal, like I said. Seth Jones, 5 million basically. This is another good player. So great hockey senses and conditioning. We can see here great physicals, great mentals, great defense, decent offense. You know, he's big, he's powerful, and he really does add in something else to that right-sided defenseman core that we've got going on. They're all young, they're all very, very good. Seth Jones is the worst of the three. So that shows you how good that side of the defense is. Left side's still strong, but it's aging, and we need to figure out that problem down the road. Werenski comes in as backup. Decent all around here. Nothing too much. Again, I wouldn't like to use him a lot over this season, but Werenski looks like he can handle a game or two to cover injuries. Altonen, a little bit less ready. We don't want to count on him. Like I say, and Svensson, pretty much the same deal there. Comtois looking like he's developing into a fine player. He still needs a season or two, but that's why we kept around our older players there. Zadina, again, he's almost ready to pop. I think those two should be a great future 1-2 combination on that left wing. Kyle Connor, this is why we got rid of Ryan O'Reilly and Jordan Stahl. I really didn't think that someone this young, this good, that could still improve a bit, should be blocked off or traded away. So we'll see what Kyle can do for us. Nate McKinnon's still growing into a beast of a player. We like that. And Joe Valeno, we brought in great hockey senses, great potential. And when you look here, you can see he's got some nice little stats, getting open, offensive reading. So he is an option going forward, and a good set of potential with him. Zemgis sticks around. We'd like to see him. New player Laurie Pojaniemi is here. Again, good potential, good conditioning and hockey sense. Not great character, but that's okay. He'll skate all day. He's got a little bit of fire in him. He will fight and help us out there. Decent defensive sort of, reading and hitting there. So he does a little bit of that. Good production as well in the offensive zone. Team player. So we like that from a youngster. Still got tons to improve on. And Owen Tippett, we'll need to have a look at him. Again, very similar in terms of his other ratings. Here you can see shooting accuracy. He's really starting to get in here. Professionalism, really nice to see that. Again, some good physical attributes. A couple of decent defensive attributes as well. A bit more rounded there. He's a year sort of ahead in development, I'd say. And we're really excited to see what this right wing core can do for us. Right defense seems like it's world class. Right wing could be world class. So hockey senses of 18 from Jesse. Great sort of great to see some of these stats. Look at this boy pop out. He just jumps off the page. You're getting open, puck handling, offensive reading. Like, that offensive stat is pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. Not great shooting, I've got to say. But we do have others that can really shoot the puck well. So, if he's a bit more of a creative player, I'm okay with that. Defensive positioning and reading, so maybe interceptions, maybe just closing down areas of the ice. I like that. Not too much a physical player, but that's not what we expect from him. He can also counter-attack very well for us. Some great stats, determination, professionalism. It's all there with Jesse. So, very happy with what we see from our team this season. Okay, so let's move on to looking at our lines. So you see, first line, we've gone with Landy, McKinnon and Paul Jajavi on that first line. I think that's a very good combination between experience, youth, kind of talent as well. We've got a little bit of creativity, a little bit of physicality, and some offense on there, of course. On that second line, Matt Duchesne, he's still club captain, but we put him down on that second line, and he's going to help out the youngsters of Comtois and Tippett there. I think that's a far more balanced line with Matt Duchesne on there. Yeah, pushing the youngsters up, that's an interesting one. I think that could be very interesting indeed. So we're going to see how that one kind of plays out. Then we got Brandon Saad and Pojaniemi either side of newcomer Joe Valeno. Now, two youngsters, two new people. Brandon Saad dropping down from first to second, down to third. I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be okay. We're giving Duchesne and Saad a lot of ice time to kind of make up for the fact that they're not on the first line. Or at least we should have done. Let me just... let's think. Yeah. That'll do. That'll do. So, you know, we're making up for the fact that they're not on the first line at all. Then Zadina comes in. Now, he's not really what I want in a fourth liner just yet. I mean, not too physical, poor defensive, mainly offensive. But, you know, eventually, of course, we're looking at replacing Brandon Saad and Landeskog here. Maybe we get rid of Saad, Zadina goes up onto the third line, we find a tough youngster there on the left wing to come in and play for us. I'm not sure. Zemgis gets demoted down to the fourth line once again, but you can see first time power play, first line penalty kill, totally first line penalty kill, that should be. So, you know, we're giving him minutes elsewhere. I'm really hoping that doesn't affect him negatively. And Kyle Connor coming through there. Again, you know, quite defensive. You know, for a youngster, I think his defensive core is pretty well rounded compared to some of the other options. Good physicality and mentals as well. So he should help out there where Zadina isn't. You know, him and Gergensons are really the strength of that line, and Zadina then gets a little bit more of the offensive options there. We're going back with Ekman Larsson, Truba first line, Gorisbeer and Seth Jones on the second, Petrangelo, Ekblad on the third. I think that's good. They're all getting the same ice time, so it doesn't really matter kind of where they play, but I like those kind of matchups. On the power play, like I say, we're trying to give other people some time, but we've got all the big names on there. So that should be quite an effective unit. I've actually gone with defensemen on the point as well for the power plays because I think our defensemen are good enough and it should stop any short-handed opportunities. So 5-on-4, 5-on-3, exactly the same. 4-on-4, Valeno gets some time there. Comtois gets some time. Tippett, Connor, we've gone with the youngsters. We've gone with the defensemen who aren't power plays or penalty kills so much. But yeah, really, I think that's a pretty good set of players. Now, Brandon Saad and the penalty kill, that's something I'd like to upgrade. But like I say, if we did trade away Brandon Saad over the next year or two, bring in a youngster that's a bit more physical and defensive minded, they could sit there and on that fourth line pushing Zadina up. So I'm happy there. Goalies, of course, Gibson and Hauser. Tippett and Saad are the two that we're going to go for on extra attackers. Neither appear on the first line. One's a second line, one's a third line. I think that makes a decent amount of sense for us there. Not having Matt Duchene there, of course. Not having Nate McKinnon, not having Landeskog. But yeah, I think those will be good options for us. And then in the shootout, Landy, Duchene, Puljajavi, McKinnon and Saad. I think that's a pretty good option. So really, that's where we are. That's how things look. I don't believe anyone's down in the comments, but we do have Lundqvist and Franson down here in the Rampage to quickly look at. So yeah, not too much to see really with Lundqvist, but he's developing into a decent player. He will be backup next season probably, and then first team after that. Franson, again, not really good enough this year. Still young, we're still waiting for him to develop. We're giving him game time here in the AHL. We're going to see how that works out. I'm not sure if that's going to be okay or not. Looking at the depth charts, like I say, we've got Mandalese, who might now be trade bait. Lundqvist, who, we're going to wait and see how he develops. I'm kind of, hoping he does well. Hannes Carlson, you can see he's there, as well as Rasmus. They are down in San Antonio. I didn't see them there. Like, they're not appearing on my list for the Rampage, which is why I'm going over here to look at them. But those are our kind of injury options. Youngster options, of course. Marakulin, I believe, will be a good goaltender. So I like what I see at a young age, so we're going to try him out. Karska is pretty much just trade bait. He doesn't look like he's going to be enough. Maniscalco can come through for us as well and create a little bit of impact defensively if we need to freshen up that sort of left-sided defensive core. So there's always an option there. Like I say, left and right wings, we're already with our 5 in the first team. So we got some centre options. Monty Simpson looks like a fantastic prospect, and we're just waiting for him to develop as well. So we've got some good options. We got Dallas, Philly, Anaheim in the first round next year, with Philly, Anaheim, and Philly and Anaheim in the second, Toronto, Philly, Winnipeg in the third. So good depth there. We got 8 picks in each year. They kind of change up where they are though. Toronto and Philly in 21 in the first round. Philly, Anaheim, and Winnipeg in round 2. Dallas, Buffalo, and Anaheim in round 3. And then the big years 2022, this is where we sort of stack the draft picks. So Dallas, Anaheim, Florida, Winnipeg, Dallas, Anaheim, Florida, Winnipeg, first and seconds in 2022. So we've traded away all our draft picks. We've picked up teams that we think will finish below us, which is everybody, but we've got a decent shot with someone like Winnipeg maybe not making the playoffs every year. Dallas is a bit hit and miss sometimes. Anaheim, Buffalo, they're kind of like first round exits if they get to the playoffs, so I'm okay there. Philadelphia, we haven't seen too often in the playoffs, so Toronto again might have an early exit or two. So we're kind of seeing and hedging our bets what we can do there. We've got good youngsters, 4-star, 4.5-star, and some 5 stars there. Most of those are in the team. I don't like anybody in free agency. Our possible free agents have been taken care of. Possible free agents for next season, a long way away, but Ryan Strome could be a very nice option there if we want a bit more sort of on that right wing. We've got Montour as well, a good option in defense. I'm not sure we need him now. Sean Monahan, that is a very, 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 very tempting prospect. Monahan could be a player I really do target here. There's a lot of other names like Hunter Shinkruk's in here, Backstrom's in here for a bit of depth. Nolan Patrick's in there, so lots and lots that we can do. I'm just gonna go through. If you see anybody you think I should really take a look at, Jonathan Drouin's in there, Taylor Hall's in there. The Hulk Beast at age 30's in there. You let me know. Thomas Hurt, like I see, Pouliot's in there as well. Domi, Honka, there's some names here which, you know, we sort of recognize. The Brinkat, he came through the draft not long ago. So a quick look at him. He looks pretty decent, doesn't he? He looks pretty decent. So, yeah, Edward Mini actually is a goaltender I nearly picked up through the draft. And who slipped by me. Well, well, well. We've got a chance here then, maybe next season, end of next season, to actually go after some of these talents. So, you let me know what you think, guys. If there's anyone in here that we really need to go after, that we should target. There's the entire first 100 players. There's probably more than that. Potentially we'll just sort of slowly scroll down there. But yeah, I think that's going to end this episode. Thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do smash that like button. Click on subscribe as well if you haven't. You'll get all the latest content there. You can follow me on Twitter at ChrisArmy to find out about the latest video news, any delays, etc. there. So you can go have your say on Twitter. You can have your say in the comment section below. Thanks very much for watching though. Next video up, coming soon, will be the start of the new season with this new young lineup. So let me know what you think of the lines and the squad. What moves you think we still need to make? Who gets traded? Who needs to prove themselves this season? Have your say as always. I always like to hear what you have to say on things. But yeah, come back next time. Thanks for watching. My name's Chris Army. This is Franchise Hockey Manager 2. FHM3 is on its way. We are so close to the release of the third iteration of this game. So I can't wait to get my hands on it. Go check that out. I believe there's some news coming up in the next couple of days, maybe a trailer, preview video, whatsoever. It should be on Steam, or you can go over to their website, search for Out of the Park Developments, or for Franchise Hockey Manager, and you should find your way to the website, and you can catch up on all the latest news there. They're also showing off features of the game on their Twitch channel, Out of the Park Developments, so head on over, take a look, let me know what you think about it as well. I'm sort of trying to keep up with all the latest news on it. But until then, guys, you take care. We'll finish off this season in FHM2, hopefully then go on to FHM3. And I'm also open to suggestions for teams on that game. So let me know what you think at ChrisArmy on Twitter in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time.